When Ethan caught his girlfriend naked with another man, his heart broke into a million pieces. But little did he know that within 24 hours he'd have an unlimited bank account at his fingertips and she would regret everything. "Jane, wear your clothes." Ethan watched as his girlfriend jumped out of the hot tub, quickly covering herself. "Ethan, you don't understand." The naked man who was in the hot tub with Jennifer leaned back and grinned. "Do you have my order, delivery boy?" Ethan remembered the paper bag in his hand. That's why he was here, delivering a 10-pack of condoms and 2 bottles of baby oil. "This is for you?" Ethan asked Jennifer, showing her the bag. "I didn't want you to find out this way, Ethan, but I'm breaking up with you." Ethan couldn't believe it. "You're dumping me for him? Mark Thompson? He's the biggest player on campus. I heard he got a girl pregnant last year and just dumped her." Mark cut in. "She can't prove that kid is mine, and I'm not doing a DNA test." Ethan took Jane aside. "Do you really want to be with a guy like him?" Jane folded her arms. "Most of the stories about Mark are lies made up by people who are jealous of him. He told me himself." Mark smiled at Ethan wickedly behind Jane's shoulder. She continued, "Plus, I deserve to be with someone who can take me out on nice dates and buy me fancy gifts. Do you know where he's taking me tonight? Crystal Heights. It's a 7-star hotel. You could never afford to take me there." Ethan was shocked. "I thought you loved me." Jane looked him in the eyes. "I guess I didn't love you enough." Mark laughed as he stood up from the hot tub. Unlike Jane, he made no effort to cover himself. Ethan could see why all the women on campus flocked to Mark. He was the star player on the college's water polo team, so he had the body of a Greek god. Ethan wasn't bad-looking, but between classes and his job, he didn't have time to spend 2 hours a day at the gym like Mark did. "I think it's time for you to leave, delivery body." Ethan ignored him, asking Jane, "Can we go somewhere and talk about this, please?" Jane hesitated, but Mark answered for her. "Jane's going to be too busy to talk for the next few hours, if you know what I mean." Ethan turned. "Can you back off, Mark?" Instead of answering, Mark sucker punched Ethan. The fist connected with Ethan's stomach before he saw it coming. He doubled over and Mark pushed him, sending Ethan tumbling down the stairs of his deck into the street below. As he glanced up, Ethan could see Jane watching him from above, but Mark took her arm and pulled her back towards the hot tub. All Mark could do was pick up his bike and walk away, his stomach hurting too much to get on it and ride home. Jane will regret this, Ethan thought. They'll both regret it. He had no idea how right he was. Ethan hadn't even gotten a mile away when it started to rain. "At least the raindrops are hiding my tears," he thought. Then, out of nowhere, Ethan's phone rang. Other than Jane, he didn't get many phone calls. He was an orphan from the time both his parents died when he was only 12 years old. After that, he was raised by his uncle, who ended up stealing all the insurance money from his parents' accident. If only things had been different, Ethan wouldn't have been stuck with this lame delivery job in order to make a living. He took out his phone and checked who was calling. It wasn't a number he recognized, but Ethan doubted his luck could get any worse. "Hello, this is Ethan. How can I help you?" A robotic female voice responded. "Ethan Drake, this is a message from McCutcheon Financial. Your private vault needs to be claimed immediately or all items inside will be incinerated within 24 hours. Thank you." The line went dead, and Ethan just stared at his phone in disbelief. McCutcheon Financial? Ethan knew the name mostly because of their giant building downtown, but he had no idea why they'd be calling him. Not thrilled by the idea of going home alone and dwelling on the fact that Jane just dumped him, Ethan decided to find out what this message was all about. He headed to the nearest train station, locked up his bike, and caught a ride downtown. As he walked up to the McCutcheon Financial building, Ethan's jaw dropped. This place is huge! The shining tower dominated the city skyline, dwarfing the next tallest building by at least 50 stories. It also stood out as the most futuristic building, almost looking like it was transported from the future. Ethan was so enthralled by staring at the building that he wasn't paying attention when he grabbed the door and swung it open. A young woman who was pushing the door open from the inside suddenly found herself stumbling forward to the street. "What the hell are you doing?" She screamed at Ethan as he scrambled to help her back to her feet. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I didn't see you there." The young woman brushed off her dress, which probably cost more than Ethan made in a year at his delivery job. "How is someone like you even allowed near this building?" she demanded. Ethan looked at her, confused. "Do I know you? Are you in my economics class at Crestfall University? Your name is Sarah, right?" Sarah stared at him. "What are you, some kind of stalker?" Before Ethan could say anything, a woman in her early 30s ran over from the reception desk asking, "Miss Harrington, are you all right?" Sarah turned up her nose. "I am most certainly not all right. This creepy stalker practically threw me to the ground." The receptionist nodded understandingly. "I will have security called on him at once, Miss Harrington." Ethan's eyes went wide. "Security? I was just opening the door." Both of the women glared at him before the receptionist turned to Sarah. "Let me take you to your limousine, ma'am." When they turned away, Ethan realized he probably didn't have much time. He hurried into the building, past the receptionist's desk, and slipped past a door marked VIP Services. "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" Ethan turned around to see a well-dressed man sitting behind a desk and looking very annoyed. "I got a call that I needed to retrieve items from a private vault here." The man paused. "Private vault? They're only reserved for our most elite clients." Ethan shrugged. "That's just what the message told me." The man stood and walked closer to Ethan. "Any account linked to one of our private vaults would require fingerprint verification." He motioned to a fingertip scanner on his desk. Ethan shifted, nervous. "Sure, of course." Taking a breath, Ethan reached forward and placed his thumb on the scanner. After a beat, it flashed red. The man shook his head. "As I expected, your fingerprint is not on file." Thinking fast, Ethan said, "Wait, let me try my index finger." The man rolled his eyes. "Then what? We try all 10 of your fingers, and if none of those work, move on to your toes?" But Ethan pressed his index finger against the scanner. The light flashed green. The man's demeanor completely changed. "Pardon me, sir. My name is Walter Randolph, and I'm the head of VIP Services for McClutchin Financial. Let me show you to your vault." Ethan couldn't believe his luck. Thank you." Mr. Randolph checked the fingerprint scanner and was slightly surprised. Vault 001. He had worked at McClutchin Financial for over 5 years, and he had never been inside Vault 001. He motioned for Ethan to follow him. "This way, sir." Ethan was surprised by the man's change in demeanor. When he first walked in, Mr. Randolph treated him like something he scraped off his shoe. Now everything Mr. Randolph said had a level of respect. "Here you are, sir." Mr. Randolph motioned to the reinforced steel vault door. Ethan suddenly felt nervous. "You're not going in with me." Mr. Randolph shook his head. "Our vaults supply the utmost privacy as well as protection. That is why leasing them starts at $5 million per year." Ethan nearly choked when he heard the cost, but he did his best to hide it. "What do I do when I'm ready to leave?" Mr. Randolph smiled. "There is a button inside the vault door, sir. Simply press it when you're finished, and I will come to collect you." Ethan nodded, understanding. Mr. Randolph gave a slight bow before returning to his office. As Ethan walked through the door, he didn't know what to expect inside the vault. Would there be stacks of cash, piles of gold and antiques? Nope. There was just a small metal box on a table. "What the hell is this?" Ethan wondered, approaching the table. No money, no treasures, just a box. Annoyed, Ethan flipped open the box and froze, shocked. Inside sat a small mechanical insect. It looked like a beetle or scarab made from highly advanced robotics. All Ethan could say was, "Whoa." He reached for the box when the mechanical beetle sprung to life. Its 6 legs sprung out and the tiny robot began to scurry towards him. "Stay back! Get away!" Ethan scrambled the opposite direction. He spotted the button near the vault door that would summon Mr. Randolph and sprinted towards it, the electronic buzz of the robot insect chasing after him. Terrified, Ethan glanced over his shoulder, which was his fatal mistake. Seeing the mechanical beetle scampering across the floor after him, Ethan got distracted and tripped over his own feet, landing hard on the ground. Shrieking in fear, he rolled onto his back right as the robotic insect leaped forward. It landed on Ethan's face, and he could feel its 6 metal legs digging into his skin. The pain was so much that he passed out. Unconscious, Ethan dreamed of his parents. He remembered the last time he saw them, packing to leave for a trip. This time, knowing what would happen, he tried to warn them. "Don't get on the plane, it's going to crash." but the dream version of his mother and father seemed completely unaware of what Ethan was saying. They smiled at him, patting his head. Right before they walked out the door, Ethan's father squatted down to his level and said, "When I get back, it's time I told you about your grandfather." Ethan remembered being confused when his father said that to him the first time. Now it sounded even more ominous. As his dream parents headed out the door, Ethan chased after them, only to find himself waking up on the floor of the vault. "Where am I? What happened?" he asked as he climbed to his feet. There was no sign of the mechanical insect, just an empty box sitting on the table. Ethan patted himself down, but nothing seemed out of place. "Something strange is going on, and I don't want anything to do with it." With that, Ethan marched out of the vault and down the hallway. He didn't even bother stopping at Mr. Randolph's office. Instead, he kept going into the lobby. The receptionist spotted him immediately. "You! How did you get into our VIP services? Did you do something to Mr. Randolph?" Ethan held up his hands defensively. "I didn't do anything, I swear, I'm just leaving." But the receptionist scooped up her phone and dialed, "Security to the front desk immediately." Ethan ran for the exit and didn't stop running until he was on a train heading back to campus. The whole ride home, he kept going over everything that happened in the vault before he passed out. Was it a hallucination? That robot insect seemed like something out of a science fiction movie. Why did it attack him? Where did it go? Who set this all up? Every question led to another, and Ethan didn't have answers for any of them. After hopping off the train, Ethan rode his bike back to the dorms. As soon as he walked in the door, his roommate Kyle asked, "Ethan, are you okay?" Ethan was shocked. How did Kyle know what happened in the vault? Then Kyle added, "We all heard that Jane broke up with you." Ethan had nearly forgotten about that. It was only a few hours ago, but it felt like forever. He told Kyle, "I guess I'm still in shock." His roommate nodded, understanding. "I never thought that Jane would be the type of girl who would fall for Mark Thompson, but I guess no one is immune to his looks and money." Without warning, strange shapes flashed in front of Ethan's eyes. What the hell was that? Kyle looked at him, confused. What was what? Ethan tried to describe it. "I saw these shapes and numbers, like a computer booting up." Kyle sighed. "Oh man, are you having a mental breakdown?" Just then, their other roommate Peter showed up. "Who is having a mental breakdown?" Kyle told him, "Ethan is. Jane broke up with him for Mark Thompson." Peter nodded. "I'd probably have a mental breakdown too." Ethan waved his hands. "Guys, stop. I'm not having a mental breakdown." Peter's face lit up. "I know what you need. I was going to meet Lucy for dinner. Her roommates will be there, and both of them are single." Ethan hesitated. "I don't know if I feel up for that." But Kyle slapped him on the back. "This is exactly what you need. You have to get back on that horse." Ethan hesitantly asked, "But aren't Lucy's roommates from wealthy families? Why would they want to hang out with us?" Peter practically dragged Ethan out the door. "You need to have more confidence. Money isn't everything." Ethan shrugged and gave in, completely unaware that he was going to learn the complete opposite was true. "Why did you bring these losers?" Lucy crinkled her nose as she looked at Ethan and Kyle. Peter kissed her on the cheek. "They're my friends. They're not losers." But Lucy simply rolled her eyes. Ethan looked around at the restaurant. He couldn't feel more out of place in the wealthy establishment. He poked Peter in the side and said, "You didn't tell me that you were meeting her here, at the Crystal Heights Hotel." Peter glared at him. What difference does it make? Ethan didn't want to admit the truth. While breaking up with him, Jane said that Mark was taking her to the Crystal Heights Hotel for dinner, and the last thing he wanted was to see his girlfriend out with her new boyfriend. "Oh my God, you're the guy who practically threw me on the ground today." Ethan's focus snapped to Lucy's roommate. As soon as he saw her face, he recognized her. "I'm sorry about that, Sarah." But the young woman folded her arms defensively. "And you're still wearing the same dirty clothes." Lucy's other roommate, Nancy, jumped in. "This is the guy you were talking about?" Sarah nodded. "He's like some sort of psycho stalker." Ethan tried to defend himself. "I'm not a stalker." So Sarah asked, "Then why were you at McClutchin Financial? It's not like someone like you would have any business there." Ethan wanted to explain, but he didn't even know why he ended up there. Suddenly, another flash of symbols and numbers passed in front of Ethan's eyes, catching him completely off guard. He turned away from the group, shaking his head to make the symbols go away, but when his vision cleared, he could see Jane and Mark walking into the restaurant. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Ethan fumbled for an answer. "I'm getting dinner with some friends." He motioned to the group, but Lucy turned up her nose, annoyed. "Ew, you're not a friend of ours." Sarah and Nancy stared at Mark in awe. "I wonder if he looks better in that suit or completely naked." They giggled to each other. Meanwhile, Ethan's heart was breaking all over again. "Excuse me," he told everyone before rushing off to the bathroom. He could hear them giggling and gossiping behind him, but he couldn't stand to be around them anymore. Once in the men's room, Ethan splashed water on his face. "Pull yourself together," he told himself. "You don't want Jane to see you freaking out like this." Ethan glanced at the mirror, but more symbols and numbers filled his vision, followed by screeching noises. He fell to the ground, covering his ears. Then, just as randomly as it started, everything stopped. Then the same robotic female voice that left a message on his phone spoke into Ethan's mind, saying, "Installation complete." Ethan stood up and looked into the mirror again. "Installation of what is complete?" The voice explained, "You now are in possession of the super-opulent system. It is bound to you alone and will disappear upon your death." A holographic display appeared in Ethan's vision, and the female voice read out the information. Name, Ethan Drake. Current balance, $100 billion. Current state, body, level 5, weak, mind, 28, slightly above average. Luxury points, 0. Ethan was shocked. "Wait, did you say my current balance is $100 billion? The voice responded, "Correct. Your balance is connected directly to McClutchin Financial and can be accessed via your fingerprint." The voice continued, "For every $10 million you spend, you'll earn 1 luxury point, which can be used to upgrade your body, mind, or purchase various special abilities." Ethan shook his head. "Wait, are you saying that by spending millions of dollars that I can make myself stronger or smarter?" The voice replied, "That is correct." Ethan's mind was flooded with all the possibilities. "No, this can't be true. It has to be some kind of joke." The holographic screen vanished, and the female voice told him, "I assure you that this is very real." Ethan examined himself in the mirror. "This has to be a dream. That mechanical insect must have done something to me. I'm probably still unconscious in that bank vault." He splashed some water on his face and dried off with a towel before leaving the men's room. Instead of returning to the restaurant, Ethan headed for the hotel's front desk. A gorgeous woman in her mid-20s greeted him. "How may I assist you, sir?" Ethan glanced at her name tag. "Hello, Kendall. I was wondering, what is the most expensive room in your hotel?" Kendall smiled. "Our presidential suite costs $20,000 per night." Ethan thought for a second. "I'd like to book it for tonight." Kendall's professional smile didn't falter, but she obviously looked Ethan up and down. "I'm sorry, sir, but we're only allowed to make those reservations for individuals who have member accounts with the hotel, and member accounts must have a minimum balance of $1 million. Ethan grinned. "Then I'd like to open a membership account with $10 million. Kendall's smile was beginning to fade. She had humored this person enough. "And what bank will you be using to make the transfer?" Ethan simply answered, "McClutchin Financial." Now Kendall paused. Maybe she had misjudged this person. Was he some sort of tech whiz? That could explain how he was dressed. She picked up the fingerprint reader and placed it on the counter. "If you'll scan your finger, we can make the transfer." Ethan realized that this was the big test. Was what the robotic voice told him true, or was he delusional? He pressed his finger onto the scanner to find out. There was a green flash, and Kendall told him, "Transfer is complete, Mr. Drake. You now have a membership balance of $10 million. Would you like me to book the presidential suite for you?" Still in shock, Ethan said, "Yes, that sounds great." Kendall turned to start the process, and Ethan heard the robotic female voice in his head. $10 million spent. You have earned 1 luxury point. Would you like to apply it now?" Unsure what was going to happen, Ethan whispered, "Yes, apply it to my body stat." The voice said, "Confirmed." A volt of energy surged through Ethan's body. He could feel a bit of his fat burn away as his muscles grew tighter. People might not be able to immediately notice the difference, but it felt like he'd spent 6 months at the gym. Kendall asked. "Would you like me to show you to your room?" Ethan turned and glanced through the doors of the restaurant at his friends, Lucy's stuck-up roommates, and Jane standing there with Mark's arm around her shoulder. "No," he told Kendall. "I think I want to get something to eat first." He smiled wickedly as he walked towards them. Will Ethan use his new fortune to win back his girlfriend or make her regret ever dumping him? What special abilities can he unlock by earning more luxury points? And does his new fortune have something to do with his mysterious grandfather? For answers to these questions and more, listen to the hit audio series My Super Opulent System, only available on the Pocket FM app. Click the link to download now and continue the story for free.